Hey, Katie, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can indeed. Can you also see me all right?
Yes, same for you.
All right, yeah, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, how the devil are you, my dear?
I've been good. How have you been doing? Been a busy bee though,
Uh,
I'll say that.
yeah, busy. Yeah, lots going on. Lots going on, as you can imagine. As you can imagine. So how's your wee family?
Everybody's really good. Corey just got released to go back to full duty. His leg made a full recovery. He's just
Brilliant.
still working on strengthening the muscles and building it back. Uh,
Yeah.
Hayden is going to turn 4 in October. Um, he's almost
Crikey.
he's almost learned his whole ABCs. Is only 4 letters away from full completion.
Brilliant.
He's been practicing really hard all week. Um, he's a wicked smart kid, really funny, great personality. He's definitely life of the party, that one. And Aria, she's 8 months right now. She's crawling, pulling up. She says, Dada, got her first tooth. She's crushing food. She's doing good. Everybody's doing really well.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, we are on the nose for the time. There are two people here, so I'm just going to add them here now.
Awesome.
We have Kristin and Trish
All
just
right.
joining the studio, so to speak. We have an Amanda as well. Okay, welcome everyone. Can you just confirm, guys, by either waving at me? Trish, I can see you. Can you give me a wave? Can you hear me okay, Trish? Wonderful. I'm just testing. This is my very technical way of testing everything works. It's a new bit of tech that I am using. I see a Kristin and Amanda. Don't see your videos yet. I just want to confirm that you can see and hear us both. Trish, can you see Katie as well? Yep, brilliant. Okay. Well, I'm guessing they are in the background somewhere. They're going to say hello. Oh, yep. Thank you. You can see and hear. Okay. It's just we don't have your I don't have your videos on, so I just wanted to double check. Uh, are you preferring to keep your videos off for the moment? Are you in the middle of chores or something in the background? Perhaps you just confirm, and then we will start in a moment. So, I think I recognize the name, Kristin. I think I've seen you, spoken to you before. Oh, you're currently driving. Well, that's pretty good use of time. I can't remember what Tony Robbins calls that particular sort of time. But anyway, all right. So, first of all, Katie, thank you very much for spending your time this evening or today with us to share your journey, shall I say.
Happy to
Um,
be here.
and so I just check in that the next person just wants to jump in. So I've got a few questions I'd like to sort of ask Katie to kind of shape the interview, as it were, rather than me just talking, because I tend to waffle a little bit, as Katie well knows from working with me. I can go off at a tangent, so I'm going to just be checking my notes and making sure I ask the right questions in the right order. So, first of all, Katie, thank you very much again for taking the time. Welcome everyone to this live case study. Katie, can you tell us about where you were and kind of walk us all through where you were when you kind of started, discovering you had the prolapses and when you discovered us, if you would please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had my son in October of 2022, and about around 4 weeks postpartum, I was out for a walk with my husband and my son. And at this time, I have no idea about what a pelvic floor is, how everything works. I didn't know about the recovery, anything. So we're out on a walk, and my pelvis started to feel very heavy, and it felt like something was dragging. It just didn't feel right. So I had slowed down, and my husband asked if I was okay, and I just said something feels really off, and I didn't really know much about it. kind of just finished our walk, proceeded as normal, didn't really know. I just kept feeling a heaviness, and just thought that that was part of the recovery. About a week later, I was on the phone with my sister, and she had shared that she had a friend who just had a baby as well, actually, like a few days before me, and she was experiencing a prolapse. And I said, "What is that?" And she told me, and I said, "Oh my God, like I have the same symptoms right now." So naturally, like any human, I went on to Google, and that was an awful idea because I saw the worst of the worst and was totally freaked out. I had my 6-week checkup. I think I had an NP assigned to me that day. And I told her what was going on. She had done a referral out to a pelvic floor physical therapist. Again, this is not everybody's experience. It was mine, and mine was awful. I went, and this woman made me feel as if I was paralyzed and broken. It was like I wasn't breathing right. I was sitting wrong. I every time I turned, she's like, "You're doing it wrong. Like you're making everything worse." I had never felt like my entire ability to do anything was taken away from me, and I just felt completely devastated. And I have used this phrase before, but it was something that had brought me to my knees. And during that appointment, she had said I had asked and just said, "I've always been a very optimistic person. Like, okay, well, I believe that your body can heal all of this." And she was just the complete opposite of my perspective, and I had talked about, I just had my first child. Like I just wanted to start growing a family, and what does all this mean? And her response to me was that basically, if I had any more kids, this would make it 100 times worse. And basically, I felt like the rug was ripped out from under me and everything was taken away. So when you ask where I was when I had contacted Jenny and Duncan, I was really, really low. I was definitely having postpartum depression, anxiety, everything. And I was just in a really bad place, to answer that question.
Yeah. And if you could take your mind back for a moment, what was kind of like the one thing that you wanted to solve at that point? Was there anything like a one thing that you can think
Um,
of, or was it you were in
yeah,
overwhelmed?
when I was there, I guess like what I wanted to solve, or my goal, was that in the past, like my body has always healed everything else and had just grown an entire human. So I think what I was trying to solve is, how can I find the one person that can help me and basically tell me that this is possible? Like that was what my goal was, and that's what I was trying to solve. I was trying to solve how to figure out how to reverse this.
Right. Okay. All right. And so I guess that was the point that you found us.
Yes, you were the
Tell us a
people.
little bit about how that happened.
How that happened.
Yeah.
For me, like anybody else who decides they have a prolapse and they feel so alone and isolated, and they're like, I have to find people like me. I joined one of the Facebook groups, and on there I had saw Jenny respond on a comment, and she had wrote like, "I'm so sorry you're going through this. I've been there, but like I just want to keep you in high spirits. Like it's totally possible to reverse this. I've done it myself." And I saw that comment, and I just messaged her and said, "Hey, I saw your comment. Like, can you just share, who you worked with or what your methods were, or anything? Like, I'd be happy to learn." And that's how I met her.
Yeah. And then shortly after that, you unfortunately met me, and you thought, "Oh my God, what a mistake!"
Nope.
Crazy Englishman. What had you already tried anything back then, Katie?
um, no, I think, as of me, I'm gonna find the correct people the first go around and do whatever it takes to find the best of the best. And that's what I
Yeah.
did. Yes, I did do. I did interview a bunch of pelvic floor physical therapists. I reached out to quite a few, and was trying to find. A lot of them were more virtual, like the ones that were like guaranteed, like, "Hey, we'll get you back to running, back to sports." Obviously, I'm somebody who's been active my entire life, so taking my physical abilities away, of telling me I'm never going to walk, or I'm never going to run, I can't pick up my kid, I have a lifting restriction of up to 5 pounds, was insane to me. So I went to extreme lengths to figure out how to make this not my everyday life anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had met one physical therapist and had a terrible experience and said, I need to find the right people now.
Yeah. I'm going to ask kind of maybe a bit of a sort of strange question, but what was the kind of like cost to you if you were just kind of stuck in that scenario, without a solution,
The
as it were?
cost would be my presence as a mother and my everyday happiness and joy. And why I'm saying my presence is because when you're stuck in this mindset that you're constantly spiraling about a prolapse, you're always basically, should I be picking this up? Should I be moving this way? Is this going to make it worse? Like that's what you're doing instead of actually paying attention to the everyday moments. Like for me, right? I had a new baby.
Yeah.
I was so focused on that I was not paying attention to the person I just brought into this world. And I also just like, I wanted to figure out a way to reverse this and resume back to my normal, activity level, because I wanted to be a present mother. I wanted to be the mother that was active with their son, playing soccer, picking them up, running with them, throwing them, swimming, all of that. So I did not want to give up the future of being an active mother that I always dreamed of being. And I wanted to make sure I was present for all of it.
Yeah. I can actually remember one of your first big, I think, challenges or goals was, correct me if I'm wrong, Katie, but didn't you say, hey, I've got to pick my son up, put him in the child seat to then put it in the car? I think that was one of your big sort of challenges when we went through that whole sequence of breaking it down.
You have had to properly lift and breathe and do everything to lift the car seat into the car.
Yeah. I remember that as though it was yesterday, actually.
Such a simple process, but so much thought had to go into everything.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's just say fast forward a little bit. You found us, you kind of started the program. What were your kind of first impressions? Just starting off there. Could you just lead us into that a little bit?
Yeah, so when I had first obviously interviewed with you guys, I think I had made you hop on like maybe 2 more times to understand what your process is, how does the physical, I think Jenny explained the emotional side of everything, but I really wanted to understand what the physical inclined was. This something
you were checking me out, weren't you? Making sure I knew what I was talking about.
I want to make sure that if you're going to spend money on something, I'm just somebody who's thorough and does my homework.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is like, it was for me, it was just more of a feeling. Like after I talked to you guys, I just had this feeling inside, like this is just what I needed to do. And to me, I took a leap of faith, right? Because you guys are all the way in the UK. I might never see you again, right? I'm sending you I'm sending you a transfer request of money. I might never see you again. And I'm going to hope for the best, right? To the point where it's funny, my husband's like, well, are they like legitimate? Like, and I was just like, well, they don't really have any reviews or anything, but they do have a website. So I was like, I'm really just going to hope for the best. It wasn't like there was any reviews. And my understanding was I was really the first client you were going to have going through your formal unshakable process that you guys had. So like, there was nobody for me to really talk to other than to trust you guys. So I think now for anybody who's coming on, like, yes, you have me, then you had Corinne, and then you had all like, tens to 20 other people that have now healed. So I think those people have more of a peace of mind of knowing it's legitimate. But for me, I was really taking a leap of faith to be like, I don't know, I'm just going to trust and hope for the best. And for me, it was a great decision. So.
Okay. So we're moving forward in that time frame then, because I want to ask you next, when was it that things started to shift or change for you? Can you remember that kind of point?
Yeah. So for me, this moment was actually one of my calls with Jenny. We had a conversation, and it was really a shift of a mindset for me. So, and what I mean by that is she had explained something in a different perspective. And what that was And again, this might be a little bit more spiritual for some people, but it was basically explaining souls and having contracts before you come, and that what we're doing before we come on this, wild planet West, or wild West of planet Earth, is that we make these soul agreements, and that anything that happened to me in regards to, childhood trauma, where these were things that were going to happen that were going to allow me to grow and evolve. And when we went through this entire conversation, what it did was it made a shift for me, and helped me realize that I was living in a victim mindset since probably about the age of 5, that I thought I was a victim to life, right? And everything was happening to me. But I was able to make the connection now that, wow, life isn't actually happening to me, it's happening for me. So whatever happened to me back when I was younger was basically leading up to this moment to get me to where I need to be right now. And what's happening to me right now is helping me get to where I'm going. Once I made that shift, that's when I started to kind of let go and open up and say, okay, this is going to start moving in a forward direction now.
Yeah, right. Gotcha. Can I just report back, just to be clear? So to kind of like summarize that a little bit. So it was at the point that you kind of realized that you were still in a victim kind of mentality.
Yes.
And you realized that, wow, that's got to change in order for me to essentially recover or heal or just progress with my life
and
in the shape that I want, kind of thing.
Yeah. So why I say that is because once you guys start giving the tools and the processes, once you can kind of say, oh, wow, I really have been in this mindset, which means that you're kind of lower on the emotional scale. You start to be like, oh, wow, I really have had this perspective for a majority of my life. And you start to see the connections of, oh, wow, like I really do need to start shifting vibrationally on and upward in the upward motion. So that was very helpful for me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Brilliant. I thought I'd ask if there are any questions so far, just in case we are talking some language that doesn't quite resonate with everyone, or they don't fully understand that. Let's just go over maybe that victim vibration again, or that sort of association. It's just kind of where you can perhaps elaborate in your own words, Katie. Well, I think you'd said it's kind of like where you were thinking that life is doing something to you, or it's things are constantly happening to me. Oh, why is this going wrong for me, etc., as opposed to seeing it as a slightly bigger picture? Would that be kind of so could you maybe give a few real examples of that, do you think?
I think it's more of like the why me. It's like, right, it's like you're walking and you trip and you break your leg and you're like, come on, seriously, like this is like it's always everything's happening to you. And I'm trying to think of just like examples that happen. It's like, I don't know, you take a job and you get a terrible boss and you're like, seriously, like it's just, you're always in that mentality of like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this happening?
Yes.
And you have like a negative lens on everything, where maybe really what it is like, like when they say, you're driving and all of a sudden like there's a stop and now you're 10 minutes late, but maybe that that detour on the road was because if you were going to go the other way, maybe you were going to end up in a terrible accident or thing. So it's just like believing that there's a redirection of where you're supposed to be going. So for me, maybe that traumatic experience that happened was me understanding that I was going to go through something at a younger age that was going to allow me to grow sooner as an individual in life and have a different perspective earlier on in life, and like allow me to go to where, or like head to where I'm going.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Incredible sort of realization, isn't it, when that happened? And I want to just explore a little bit further. What was it that first changed kind of physically for you, Katie?
So I'm sure you remember this moment very vividly, but it was one of the calls I was doing.
I think I know what you're going to say.
And it was when we kept practicing hyperpressives. And it was the first time I had actually felt the entire vacuum and all of the air come right up. And I was like, oh my God, I finally did it. And I was so excited. And you can literally, for me, not everybody will have the same experience, but it was like And that was how I knew I had successfully just done my first hyperpressive, and I was ecstatic. And I think Duncan watched me do laps around my living room because I was so excited that I finally made the connection to that area.
Yeah, I think there was a very excited, was it message or was it live? I can't remember when you said, is this what's supposed to happen?
Yes. And then we did our call and I'm like, listen, do you hear it? And you're like, I really do hear it.
Oh, yes, but oh, yeah. And so that was from a very sort of practical sense in terms of the exercise, the hyperpressives that we teach in the program. What about any physical changes, or if you like, changes of symptoms, or anything else physical that you'd noticed, or
Yeah,
was
really
the
early
first
on.
thing to sort of change?
Yeah, I want to say about maybe a month into the program, and working on like more of the emotional side. So, just for anybody who has not worked with Duncan and Jenny, Duncan focuses more on like the physical aspects of it, and Jenny works on more of the emotional side of it and coaches you through that. So both are very, very are experts in both of their areas. So I would say on the emotional side, and both the physical, really early on, I actually think even before I started actually getting the hyperpressives part even done, I had been doing a lot of the emotional scales and the focus wheels and just changing my actual thought process around everything. I want to say maybe about a month into the program, I didn't even have symptoms anymore.
A month into the program, you didn't have symptoms. But what were your worst symptoms? Was it the heaviness,
Mine
or
was heaviness, like it just felt like my pelvis, like there was a huge like dragging in my pelvis, which technically is just your bulge and all of that. But yeah, I just
yeah,
had
yeah,
an extreme heaviness like towards the end of the day.
yeah, yeah. And how did that kind of change you as such, kind of like emotionally? Can you kind of remember what
Yeah, it just
changed it? Did have
once
a
I
sense of
started,
like optimism, or I could, wow, yes,
yeah,
I know I put my faith in these guys, but yeah, maybe it will actually really get me to where I want to go.
yeah. For me, yeah, it's definitely what you just said. It with almost felt like I could kind of like breathe and like I had found the right people and what they
Yeah,
were saying is really working because
yeah,
I really, at that point, other than doing emotional work and working on just some breath work and, some stretches, like myofascial stretches that Duncan had taught me, I hadn't even gotten to the hyperpressives yet. And with doing just such little things that were just so basic and easy, I had already felt so much relief. So I knew that if I continued down this road with them, that the trajectory was going to be that I was going to heal. Like I started to really understand what they were talking about.
yeah. And did you have like renewed optimism that you could get back to running around with Caden
Yes.
and chasing Corey as well?
Yep. So yeah, the good thing is for me, also a big part of it was, they do introduce meditations. For me, I started in my meditations just visualizing me running, and almost it was weird, but I kind of almost felt as if I was running, even though I was just laying or sitting there. But yes, it was just kind of like, oh, I just got a nice little run in, even though I didn't really do anything. But for me, it just felt like I was actually doing those things, and yes, it was making me become a lot more optimistic and hopeful.
Yeah. And was there a particular part of like the program or the framework within the program that just clicked for you?
For me, I would say it actually was just something as basic as emotional scales. Um, I really never, as like a child, I never really learned to process my emotions and to put a name to them and understand them.
Yeah.
My family had more of like be tough, muscle for everything.
Yeah.
And for me, it was the first time I was actually sitting with emotions, and I'd be looking at this emotional scale and saying, like, being really real and authentic with myself, like, where am I right now? And why, like, on a topic, like, why am I feeling this way? And I would name it and I would say the real feelings I had at that emotion. And I allowed myself for the first time in my life to really sit with it. So if I was fearful, I was going to allow that. If I was feeling angry, I was going to allow myself the time to be angry. If I needed to grieve something, I was going to grieve it. Like I allowed myself to be sad. Because I feel like so much of life we just push through, like we're fine, we're fine, we're fine. But the more we suppress those emotions, that's how we end up in this place in the first, like how we end up in this spot in the first place. So for me, the real framework that just really simplified everything, and just gave me the power to say where I'm at and how I'm feeling, and it just to be okay with it and not feeling like I have to get somewhere all the way to the top. It was okay to just be where I needed to be for a while and just slowly work up to where I want to be.
Yeah. And if you alluded to that you'd never really done that before and was taught as a child to kind of suppress it, ignore it kind of stuff.
So
I'm guessing for you that was kind of like the opening of Pandora's box, a great amount of freedom or relief, or maybe a heaviness that you were allowed to kind of lift. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. How would you kind of describe that to who's ever watching?
I don't know how other people, like how they grew up, but for us, it was, my maiden name was Highlands. Highlands had to be tough. If we got upset or emotional, it was more of, you got a lump in your throat. What are you going to go cry? And like, I know that sounds harsh, but that's how we were treated. And I never allowed myself to cry. I never allowed myself to be weak or feel sad. And it was the first time in my life where I felt safe enough to do that, and that I wasn't going to be rejected or looked at in a weak way, that it was actually okay to be vulnerable for the very first time. So for me, I was really thankful for this tool that was given to me, and truly a safe place to just be, like, allow me to be where I needed to be. So for me, I'm eternally grateful for that.
Right. So we kind of gone through, if you like, the program, what clicked for you, etc. What were the changes? What about now, Katie? Can you talk us through a little bit now? Please forgive my poor memory. I know you've had a second. Could you talk a little bit about, what you were now? Because I don't think everyone's aware, unless they've seen your testimonial on our YouTube channel, that you went on, you had a second child. Could you just talk us through a little bit about that, please?
So, like I said, I had my son when I was, or in October of 2022. I realized, I don't know, in November, that something was wrong. And then once I went to my 6-week appointment, yes, they did confirm I definitely had a weak pelvic floor and that some things were not in the right place. And I went to pelvic floor physical therapist, and they did confirm, yes, that I did have some prolapses. And I even went to a urogynecologist. I went to all the extremes. But what I will say is by what was that? Maybe, I think it was the end of May or beginning of June, I had went back to the urogynecologist and got confirmed that all of the prolapses were reversed. So it will show you that this work really, truly does work. And then I did go on to have a second child. I had a daughter in December of 2025, so 8 months ago.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but did you say earlier that you were kind of told that, did anyone refer to the chances of having a second baby and making things worse, or initially, or?
Yeah, so earlier on I did chat about that, but I did have the pelvic floor physical therapist that I had worked with, was that baby back in November, December, after I had my son. She had I wouldn't say recommended, she made it very clear that, when you have a prolapse, you can't heal, you can't reverse it, and that if I had a second child, it would make everything worse. So I just, like I said earlier, it felt like everything was taken away from me. But I wanted to be the one person to say, no, that's not true. So I did reverse it, and I did to have a second kid. Just something cool about that too is my goal the second go around when I was going to have a baby was I had worked so hard to build a relationship between me and my body. Because when I began working with Duncan, and one of the first things he had me do was really like connect back to 3 little muscles within the pelvic floor and engage them and, start to reconnect to them. And when I had first tried, I felt nothing. And all through my second pregnancy, I went back to that simple thing and just kept engaging the pelvic floor to make sure it stayed strong. I did hyperpressives in the beginning until it wasn't safe or it's not recommended anymore. And then as soon as I had my daughter, one of my goals, actually, before I go into that, was to have a natural childbirth and unmedicated, and to just actually have a wonderful experience. And I did. I had my daughter, that entire labor was just under 5 hours. I had it natural, I had it unmedicated, and basically pain-free. It was intense a few times, but it was such a beautiful experience. I was able to actually catch my baby and bring her into this world. Something other cool I want to add is when I had done meditations throughout this program, it connected me back to my creative side. And I used to see this little girl running through a field of white flowers. And if you look right behind me, I painted it, and it's now in my daughter's room. And if you ask me where I am now, I am the happiest I have ever been because I have now the tools to understand how I'm feeling, and I can tackle any obstacle that comes my way. And also, the Unshakable You community is such a great support system still to this day.
Yeah. Wonderful. What other than Jason Caden around, because Caden's, what you say, he's coming up for 4 years, in terms of what you couldn't do back then and what you are doing now, could you just give us a little bit of insight into that?
Yes.
And what you're planning?
Yep. Well, even after Caden, I returned to running. I returned to lifting, heavy weights, anything. I have returned after having my daughter. I have returned to running. I have returned to lifting weights. Yeah. So any of the goals I wanted to hit physically, I have been able to do so.
Yeah. So I seem to remember the first time round, weren't we setting goals of running a little distance? I think we picked out a spot, did we, where you're running to oh God, I was going to a pole of some sort. I was going to call it a telegraph pole, but of course, in the United States, you call it something different. But I think I remember us choosing that little area where you could run to something, walk again,
Yeah, you had me
run,
basically
etc.
doing like mailbox sprinted. I could sprint to a mailbox, walk, sprint to a mailbox,
Yeah,
walk.
yeah,
And that was the little things I could do before going into full distance running again.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
And
it's
so
been
you,
months, but I slowly worked into it, and you guys had given me all the tools and resources the first go around. So even right after I had ARIA, I just focused on, breathing, engaging my pelvic floor, connecting everything back together slowly, making sure I was keeping my body in alignment. Something I've always done is go to the chiropractor to make sure that I'm staying in alignment, because I did have a bit of scoliosis that I actually was able to also reverse and put back into alignment. So there was actually a lot of, I guess you can also say that as a win for me, of a goal I had set to do as well. So yeah.
And I seem to recall your husband being, shall we say, a little bit bemused by how, sorry, perhaps I'm not explaining. He was somewhat bemused, and he made a comment about your
My
midsection, your
yeah.
abdominals. Could you just
Yep.
tell us that little story? Because I thought that was fabulous.
I think I started the program, was that in January of 23, and we were going on vacation the first week of June, our first weekend in June of 23. And we were just getting ready, trying some clothes on, bathing suits and all of that, and packing. And he looked at me and was like, "You have not worked out once. How do you literally have a six pack right now? Like, you literally have abs, defined abs. Like, how do you have this?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've just been doing the hyperpressives and the breath work that Duncan's been telling me to do." And he's like, "All you do is breathe, and you breathe abs into reality. Like, how is this possible?" And I said, "I don't know. I just did what I was told to do, and it showed up."
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. So, Could I ask you if anyone's watching this, or they watch when it the recording, etc., if anyone gets a chance to see this, and they're kind of like, oh, unsure about the program because, as you alluded to earlier, I don't know if these guys are trustworthy, or they just don't quite know, they're sitting on the fence. What would you say to anyone who's thinking that?
Well, here's what I would say, right? I think for me, I shared earlier that I had went through that same thought process. But for me, there was a feeling inside that I know that I have the ability to do anything. And if I want to make a change in my life, it's in the power of my own hands. What Jenny and Duncan are going to do are going to give you the tools and the resources and the support to do and help you reach your goal. So if you're, worried about it, I mean, for me, when I was joining, like they didn't have any of these testimonials. There was no reviews. There was nothing. I took an ultimate leap of faith to say, I'm going to trust because I have this little feeling inside that this is what I'm supposed to do. And I did it. And I committed my time. And at that time, I was a working mom. I went back to work full time. I had a newborn baby. And I had very limited time of how I was going to do all of this. And what I decided to do was wake up at 4:30, and I committed about an hour every morning to myself to say, this is what I'm going to do, to set time to do the physical work that is being assigned to me. And throughout the day where I could fit it in, I was going to do the emotional work. So I committed myself because I also invested money into this and trusted somebody. So if somebody's saying that they're worried or, what if it doesn't work for me? I promise you it will. You just have to show up for yourself and decide that this is truly what you want. Like I said, they're going to give you the tools, the resources, and the support. And on top of it, you guys will have an entire community that will also support you every step of the way. And that is just something that's not really found in this world. So if you're looking to take this leap of faith and trust the Unshakable You community, like you won't go wrong. And if you decide to show up for yourself, I think you'll be really surprised with the results you get. Even if it's not in the time frame you wanted, you will get results just by applying yourself and by showing up for yourself and trusting in people that are in the same spot as you.
That reminds me, I remember when the early days when you displayed that kind of like that determination, I think, that Jen was so excited, and she said, I just have a feeling this Katie's going to heal and heal pretty quickly.
Yep. And I think it was
it's just because
5 months. 5 months. I started in, I think I went the very end of May, but I started the program January 1st. And by the end of May, I was fully reversed. So it really is what you do with your time and how committed you are. I know there's people that I think healed even faster than I did. So
yeah, there is some. Yeah, it's all that as you said, it's no race. It's a time frame that suits each individual, whatever they can put into it.
And I think it was like what Danielle took 2 years, and it just depends on how you tackle this and how real and authentic you are with yourself.
Yeah,
I had to be very vulnerable, and this was the first place that I was able to do this, and be vulnerable and really share my real true feelings and thoughts. And it was a safe place to do it. And nobody judged me. They just allowed me to be me. And I think that's something really special.
Yeah, for sure. A question that come in earlier was someone wanted to know, how did it change or affect, if you like, your relationships outside of your initial family, like work, etc.? Can you talk a little bit about that? Yeah.
I think it really quickly highlights when you start to do more of the emotional scales, the focus wheels. I would say more of the emotional scales. You can figure out your triggers very fast and to start to figure out who triggers you, what triggers you, and it allows you to actually start working on those triggers. So in regards to relationships, I don't think I realized how much maybe resentment I had towards my own husband And that's something to this day I'm still working on. So what I will say too is if you do begin this work, um, it's okay if you still have other like areas of your life that you need to work on. Not that there's anything wrong with between me and my husband. There are just times where I get so angry and frustrated, and it's because there's still some underlying resentment that, I mean, I started working with you guys, what was that, 4 years ago? Or almost, or no, I guess 3.5 years ago. And I still have little things that I'm still working on. So in regards to just overall relationships, I think it helps you identify faster. What are some areas of work that you can do on yourself? And like they always say, it's the work between you and you. And then everything else follows with those relationships. But I would say, if anything, it's actually really helped me build a stronger relationship with my husband. I know recently I had done some work in relation to my boss that I was really struggling with. It was a very, very complex personality to work with. And if anyone from the groups here, I'm sure they've heard me on the calls and working with Jenny. And that relationship is night and day. So your relationships will benefit from doing this work.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Katie, I think that brings us to the close. Unless there's anyone that wants to unmute themselves and ask a question of Katie or me or anything, I think we can just about wind down. So is that your daughter's room you're in right now? You alluded to the picture in your daughter's room.
This is Aria's room. That's the picture I painted while I was in the program. I think that was like in March or April. I painted that back in 23.
Lovely. And how many other paintings have you done since?
Only a handful. I actually just got kind of more into drawing, and I've actually really my creative side also is cooking. So I actually do a lot of stuff from scratch. I actually just learned how to make sourdough bread, so I've been doing that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I think sometimes it's just connecting you back to yourself, and for me, I have a very big creative side. So this work always helps me get back to those things that I love most and that I'm passionate about.
Brilliant. I was just worried for a moment then that you'd had a picture of me or something you were just going to pull out.
I don't think
this is what I made earlier.
It'd be kind of weird if I had a picture of you in my daughter's room.
But I mean that you drew, not in your daughter's room. Do you know what I mean?
Would you like me to do a self-portrait of you?
Oh, well, okay, let me just check if there's any questions. Someone says, thank you, Katie, very inspiring. Someone said, it's a beautiful painting. Thank you so much, Katie. This was so encouraging. So once again, thank you very much for your time, Katie. Really appreciate that. We don't have any further questions coming in, so I'm going to sign off because I know you're probably in the middle, towards the end of your working day from home.
Yes, actually, I did come home for this just so I wouldn't be interrupted, because you never know at the office.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thanks again, Katie. Really great to see you, and thank you for sharing your story with us. And thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Okay, thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.